Happy Tuesday, everyone. Jo here with SportsGrid. I can't believe it's already Tuesday. It's time for Puckett with Jo. We have a loaded slate today, 10 games on deck, and then make sure you join me over on Game Time Decisions at 6:12 Eastern to go over more hockey with Kevin Walsh. So super excited for it. Let's get to these games now. I can't wait for this first game tonight. The Ottawa Senators taking on the Florida Panthers. And I'm sure you guys all remember the last time they matched up. And if you don't, you missed one heck of a game. This was a game with all of the penalties where the Florida Panthers won 5-0. Every single player on the ice at one point got a 10-minute misconduct. It was a nuts game. And I think we're in for some more fireworks tonight. So let's look at the odds in this one. We'll see how the Kachuk brothers go at each other. Their mother looks so disappointed in the stands. Now they have a car commercial about them fighting. It's kind of funny. But maybe the commercial came out before that. You guys let me know. But I didn't even clue into the commercial until after we saw that last matchup. The Senators are $2 underdog. They're plus 210 here on the road. The Florida Panthers at minus 260, total of 6.5. Now, this 6.5 juice to the over at minus 128 and plus 104 to the under. I would be very cautious on taking this one over. If you like the over, I think you'd probably look at the Florida Panthers team total to that over of 3.5. My concern here is I don't know how many goals the Ottawa Senators are going to be able to put up. We look at the Florida Panthers and of the All-Star break. This team has been so fantastic at locking opponents down and not allowing them to find the back of the net. Teams have not been able to light the lamp, and since the All-Star break, they've held teams to 2 or less goals in all of their matchups. You look at what they were able to do in the game versus Tampa, and yes, that game went over the total, but it's because the Florida Panthers got 9 of those goals. So we only saw 2 come out, or sorry, they got 9, and then the Tampa Bay Lightning got 2. So we're not seeing them allow their opponents much room out there on the ice. They're not getting those goals. They're holding opponents to 27.6 shots on goal per game. Their kill is fantastic at 83.1%, so 5th best overall in the league. And their power play is phenomenal. It's 26.4%. When we look here at the Ottawa Senators, they've really struggled to convert on the power play, only converting at 16.1. And when we look at their ability to kill these penalties, they're just not 30th overall in the league, only killing the penalties 74.2% of the time. So the struggles are all with the Ottawa Senators. I'm writing their team total to the under. Hopefully you guys got that earlier on SportsGrid. Remember to make sure you go and download the app because I will put up one of my favorite bets there every day in the NHL. And that line moved a little bit. It's minus 106 earlier in the day, minus 110 now, but I do think the value is still there on their team total to the under. Korpisalo versus Bobrovsky is your goalie matchup in this one, and I do think the Florida Panthers can get the win. We also look at the Ottawa Senators are rolling in on their second night of a back-to-back here. It's going to be a hard game for them in this one. So if you want to look at the team total for the Florida Panthers, you're going to have to fire that number up because it's a 3.5 and the over 3.5 is minus 164. So you're not getting the best odds there. When we look at the schedules on deck, no look ahead for the Florida Panthers. Yes, they have the Carolina Hurricanes on Thursday, but it's Tuesday, you guys. So I'm not too worried about that in this situation. This team has been rolling so hot, sitting first in the Atlantic, and the Ottawa Senators are sitting 8th. Okay, yeah, let's make some money. It is a good day to get everything going here. The Panthers are now 4.5. Okay, so I would still take the over 4.5. We know they were able to put up 9 goals on Tampa, on the Lightning at home with Andrei Vasilevskiy in net. So game yesterday, 9-1 in the overs. Yeah, we had high scoring games. I didn't expect some of those, especially you look at what Vancouver did in that one. We're going to be talking about Vancouver in a minute. Those penalty minutes there is killing this team. And it really is for the Islanders as well. Look at some of these teams and what they're doing out there. Ben, big shout out to you. Thanks for joining us today. Okay, let's you're feeling the Islanders on the money line. Derek, I'm not sure if I can get there. You guys let Derek know in those comments what you're thinking of the Islanders today. We're going to first jump to the Dallas Stars and the New York Rangers. Now, this is an interesting one. It kicks off at 7 o'clock Eastern as well. So current odds, minus 137 for the New York Rangers, plus 114 for the Dallas Stars. Now that total is 6.5, juice to the under at minus 128, plus 104 to the over. Looking at the Rangers, this team is rolling incredibly hot right now. They're looking to extend their winning streak. So they've won 7 straight games. They're looking for their eighth. And this is such a phenomenal feat for the New York Rangers, stringing this many wins together. When we look at the Dallas Stars, they are off a terrible loss last night to the Boston Bruins. Now, this was a game that they should have won. They allowed, with, I believe it was under 2 minutes left on the clock, Panarin to be able to get that game tying goal, and then for the Boston Bruins to be able to get the win in shootout. So I feel for the Dallas Stars here, but the way that they lost that game with how much extra effort they put into it, I really do think you look at the New York Rangers here at home in the Garden. I think at this price at -137, while it's juicy, and I don't always love laying that much juice on a money line, I think it's worth it in this one. The Rangers are just rolling so hot. The way that they lost their last game, too, had to have hurt the outdoor game. If you didn't watch the outdoor game between them and the Islanders were up. The Rangers were able to fight back and be able to get that win. So it was crazy. I was on the Islanders because we were getting +120 on them. But the Rangers, if you live bet them when they were down, I think they were down 3 goals at one point. It was phenomenal plus money in there. I actually missed on betting them. I didn't think they were going to be able to come back. So we saw the Islanders win that last meeting 6-3 back in November, but the Rangers have won 4 of the last 5 or 6 matchups. So I do think they have all the value tonight, especially with the Stars on the second night of a back-to-back here. And I said Islanders, I meant Stars. Keep talking about all these different teams, you guys, and sometimes the words just don't come out right. But we are going to move on to the Islanders game. Let's make some money here today. Dallas on the money line for Jimmy. It's going to be a hard battle. Good morning, down under. You took the Panthers on that puck line. I don't blame you for taking the Panthers on the puck line. That is the right side. Now, they need to play a clean game and stay out of that penalty box. Both of these teams do. But if we could bet on those penalties, I tell you, we probably would make money. There's going to be fights. And I'm sure someone's dropping their gloves within the first 30 seconds out there, especially with how they finished that game last time. There's going to be some hard feelings going over between both of these teams. So let's look at the New York Islanders. Now, the New York Islanders expected to start Sorokin and Tristan Jarry here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Now, this is a battle of the Metro with both of these teams really trying to fight to get a wild card spot. It's going to be a hard battle, though. The Islanders sitting 5th and the Pittsburgh Penguins sitting 7th. Lines on this one right now on FanDuel, if I can find them. Just bear with me a second, you guys. Lines right now, we have the Islanders at +115, -138 here for the Pittsburgh Penguins, a total of 5.5. You're going to have to lay juice to that over at -128, and to the under is +104. Looking at this one, I can't take it to the under. I just think the 5.5, it's a pretty hard number to stay under between these two with the problems the Islanders have been having on the kill. Their kill is terrible right now. It's 70.7% of the time they're able to kill these, but their 5-on-5 is fantastic. So what are we going to see out of the Islanders? Because when they get in that penalty box, they can't stop their opponents. And it's not like the Pittsburgh Penguins come in here with an elite power play. It's actually not really good at 13.7%. But I still do believe if they get on the power play here, they have the playmakers who will be able to score. Now with Sorokin in goal, that's he's a harder goalie to hit, but it almost is like once he gets rattled a little bit in these games, he's allowing those goals to come in. The Islanders have lost their last 3. They lost to the Rangers in that outdoor game. And we look at the Penguins coming in here. They're off that loss as well. I'm going to look here for Sidney Crosby to continue to roll hot. We know how strong he has to be out there on the ice. So he has to come out. He has to get that anytime goal. I'm also going to look at the Penguins just straight up on the money line. I know this one is another one. I'm laying juice today, but I do think it's worth it. The Penguins here at home, I trust them a lot more at home. 13-10-1-2 on the season at home. This team is coming in with some rest too. So I do have faith they will be able to do it. Now, the Penguins won the last 2, but the Islanders won those 4 prior. So it's kind of not great trends to back the Penguins with how the Islanders did before. But I just don't trust the Islanders with what they're doing right now. And I do think Patrick Waugh is trying to really tighten up this team defensively. But I think this Pittsburgh Penguins team, they have so much talent and coming in rested, I think they'll be able to get it done. Now, the last game they did win, it was a 3-1 game there. If they can get the Islanders to commit penalties, this team could go over their team total of 3.5, and this game could go over. If the Islanders come out and play clean, which they absolutely know that they have to do, this one will stay under this total, and it should be a 3-2 style win here. But my money's going to go on the Penguins in this one. Both teams are Jekyll and Hyde. It is so true. You never know what you're going to get out of these teams. That's for sure. Yeah, the puck lines can be tricky. I hate puck lines when you end up getting that empty netter or the overtime there. So let's look at the New Jersey Devils. They're taking on the Washington Capitals. Now the Devils are minus 172. This line just keeps moving throughout the day. Plus 142 here for the Washington Capitals. Total of 6.5. Now it's minus 110 to either way of the 6.5. Nico Daws expected in net for the New Jersey Devils tonight, and Charlie Lindgren here for the Washington Capitals. Now, Lindgren has been solid, but he's kind of been like Jekyll and Hyde in some of these games as well. Charlie Lindgren, when you look at his goals against average, is only 2.22. He's got a 920 save percentage. But in some of those games, you're like, what is he doing out there? So I go back and forth with Charlie Lindgren, how I'm feeling on him. The Washington Capitals sitting 6th in the Metro, and the New Jersey Devils sitting 4th. Now, when these teams did last meet up, back in January, we did see the Devils with that big win, 6-3. And when we look at the trends between these two, normally teams have home ice advantage. It's not the way with these two teams. The road team has had the advantage, winning the last 5 meetings. So I do think the New Jersey Devils are the right side. The problem is the amount of juice the books want us to lay with the Devils. I'm expecting both of these teams to start off nice, hard, and fast. I'm going to look here at that first period over 1.5. Even if it's just the Devils to get both of those goals, I don't care. As long as we get 2 goals in that first period. Again, kind of juicy picks today, you guys, on that money line. We're going to lay it. It's minus 132, but I do think there's such an ability of this one to go over. Otherwise, I wouldn't give it to you. Also, looking at the Washington Capitals, I know they're coming off that win versus Montreal, but when you look at them, they got that one, but they lost 8 of their last 9 prior. So the puck line here isn't out of question for the New Jersey Devils. They're 15-11 on the road on that puck line, 13-14 here for the Washington Capitals. I could see this being a 2-goal win here for the Devils. Now, when you look at the Devils and we think about the Devils and who are their playmakers, we all know it's Jack Hughes, but Nico Hischier here is someone that you have to look at. He's been absolutely phenomenal as of late. So Nico Hischier for the anytime goals coming in at plus 200. I like his ability to find the back of Charlie Lindgren's net tonight. He has a 12 points, 5 goals, and 7 assists in his last 8 games overall. So he's been absolutely phenomenal out there. He's actually leading the New Jersey Devils teams in minutes on the ice. So he's been fantastic. You can also look at Tyler Toffoli. The minute you look at Jack Hughes, we're going to have to pay more to get him for the anytime goal. And looking at Hischier and Toffoli, we're getting better odds there. So that's my best bets for player props on the New Jersey Devils side. If you're looking at the other side, TJ Oshie was able to get his 300th goal in the last game out. So he's been phenomenal. Ovechkin got him the assist. Ovi here for the anytime goal I would look at. And then Dylan Strome here as well for the Washington Capitals. I think they can be playmakers. I'd probably look at the points here. I'd look at Ovi for the goal, and the other guys for the points will probably get an assist out of one of them. So that's what I'm liking. I think this is going to be a good game, especially if you're a Devils fan. I appreciate that so very much. It's nice to have you here. Okay. Yeah, money line with parlay on the New. I don't hate that. Looking at the Devils and the Rangers parlayed together, I think it would be a nice way to go, Joe, with the Penguins in regulation there as well. Okay. Next game on deck, we have the Minnesota Wild taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Okay, a couple of things happened yesterday. Both these teams on a back-to-back. The Wild put up, 5 goals in the third period on the Vancouver Canucks? It was insane. 3 of those goals came in the way of power play goals. So Vancouver really needs to tighten up. Congratulations to the Minnesota Wild to be able to come back in that. And then when we look at the Winnipeg Jets, the Winnipeg Jets faced Calgary. They lost to Calgary 6-3, but there was a hat trick by Monahan, who was with Montreal. Remember, he got traded to Winnipeg. Before he was with Montreal, he was with Calgary for 9 seasons. He came out and he put a hat trick up in that first period in just under 6 minutes. It was like 5 minutes and 17, 18 seconds. He was able to get a hat trick. It was mind-blowing what Monahan was able to do out there. So now these teams on the back-to-back. Winnipeg has had to travel home, and the Wild have had to travel here. So no rest advantage for either team. Marc-Andre Fleury expected here for the Minnesota Wild, and Boussoit for the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, Boussoit is a backup to Connor Hellebuck, but I trust Boussoit. His numbers are so solid at 2.22 goals against average and a 920 save percentage. I will look at his save shots on goal. We're going to look at that. We're going to pull that number up in a second. I just don't have it in front of me. But I do think this has to be a goaltending battle between these goaltenders. I know both of these teams yesterday allowed these goals to come in. I know they're both on a back-to-back, but I'm not buying into that being the MOs for these teams. These teams need to lock down on the defensive side of the puck. And if we have another hugely high-scoring blowout game involving these two teams tonight, well, now together, I will be blown away because they can't play that kind of hockey. So let's look at the odds on this one before we go any further. The Minnesota Wild coming in at plus 122, minus 146 for the Winnipeg Jets. That total is 5.5. And I know it's a scary number, but I do think 3-2 style game, minus 102 to the under. And if you want to go over that total, because how could we blame you? Like the games last night all went over this, minus 120 to the over. So let's look at those goalie props first, because I am leaning on the under 5.5 for this one at minus 102. So Boussoit coming in here at 25.5, minus 122 to the over. 25.5 is an easy one for him to be able to come out and save. And Marc-Andre Fleury at 27.5 at minus 122 to the over as well. So we're going to have to lay the juice taking these goalie props. Both of these teams are allowing between 28 and 30 shots on goal per night. So the Minnesota Wild at that 30.3 and the Winnipeg Jets at 28.9. Now the Winnipeg Jets actually are stronger defensively in the 28.9. I could see a case where Boussoit faces right on that 25-26. So when we're looking at which team I have more confidence in to get those shots on net against the opponent's defense, it would be Marc-Andre Fleury to go over his save shots at 27.5. And I know it's a higher number here, but we look at the Winnipeg Jets are averaging that 30.8 and the Minnesota Wild are giving up that 30.3, whereas the Jets only giving up that 28.9. So I do think Marc-Andre Fleury, even though the number is 2 points higher, and we're seeing that correspond to what the defenses are doing, I just think the Winnipeg Jets at home are going to fire a couple more away than we will see out of the Minnesota Wild. So I would look at both of these goalies, but I have more faith in Marc-Andre Fleury at the 27.5, but I think Boussoit is phenomenally strong out there as well. I would be thinking of the same thing if it was Connor Hellebuck, just because of the defense here for the Winnipeg Jets. They have to start getting these block shots, and both of these defenses really do need to step up, but we did see both defenses and special teams really falter, especially here for the Minnesota Wild. And Shane Monahan was the only guy who scored yesterday for the Winnipeg Jets. There was no other goal scorers in that game yesterday for Winnipeg. So, and then the defense allowed Calgary just to go off. So neither head coach is going to be happy with the defensive and the special team side of play coming out tonight. So I expect a huge change here. Now, this is a battle of the Central with the Winnipeg Jets 3rd and the Minnesota Wild 6th in the Central. The Jets have won the last 3 meetings. So looking at them here to be able to get another win on home ice, I think is quite possible. I just don't want to lay that juice, because when we look at the juice, let me just bring that up one more time for you guys. We are looking at minus 146. It's too high for me. So I'm just going to bet the under, but you guys do what you feel. I would look at Kyle Connor if you're looking for a goal scorer. But again, when I'm looking at a lower scoring game, I can't really do that. I don't like taking those goal scorers. So Jason Robinson has been absolutely fire also for the Minnesota Wild. So you could look at him as well. Okay, let's talk about the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks are taking on the Colorado Avalanche. Talk about two defenses that have been struggling. Now, Casey DeSmith was in net last night for the Vancouver Canucks, and he allowed 8 goals on like 25 shots on net. So it wasn't the defense, it was special teams because they took those penalties as well. And then it was goaltending issues last night. So it's Demko versus Georgiev here tonight in Colorado. Now we know we got to circle Nathan MacKinnon, so let's not forget about that. But first, the odds are Colorado Avalanche minus 142 plus 118 for the Vancouver Canucks, 6.5. Now minus 118 to the over 6.5 and minus 104 to the under. I can't take this, even though I know defense and goaltending need to tighten up. I can't take this under 6.5. We've seen the issues game in and game out with the Colorado Avalanche on the defensive and goaltending side. Georgiev, I don't have enough faith in. We look at the Vancouver Canucks, and they are quietly first in the Pacific, and this team is built on a fast, aggressive, very aggressive team offensively. They're averaging 3.66 goals per game and 28.2 shots on net. When we look at Colorado, they're averaging 3.7 goals per game and 32.2 shots on goal. I really do think between how strong the power plays are on both teams, and I know we have solid kills, but these power plays should be able to convert, especially if either team takes that penalty. We saw Vancouver get destroyed last night when they took those penalties, giving up 3 power play goals. And Colorado, we know they are getting picked apart, and I don't trust Georgiev. So I'm going to take it over the 6.5. I'm also going to grab some player props here. It is the second night of a back-to-back here for the Vancouver Canucks. So we could see a little bit more tired legs, but I do expect Demko to do enough where I don't think Colorado is going to have a blowout win. I do think this could be a tight fought battle, 4-3 style game. I'm going to take Elias Lindholm here for the anytime goal. He's coming in at plus 250. Now, Elias Lindholm was the player that was taken from Calgary, added to Vancouver, and we saw him just come out so explosive when he first got out there on the ice on the road and when he came home. And I do think we have an explosive game here with him versus Colorado. And then Nathan MacKinnon. Nathan MacKinnon has been absolute fire here for the Colorado Avalanche. When we look at his point streak he is on at home, he's had 26 home games with at least a point. So he is riding this huge streak. It's the second longest since Wayne Gretzky had a 40 game win streak at home back in the 1988-89 season. So he's on a roll, you guys. You can't fade him. You can't fade him not to be able to get a point. I think it comes in the fact of the anytime goal. Taking just a point is way too juice. The books think it as well. So play around with that, whatever you guys want to do. I do think Cale Makar still worth a look. You guys know I keep going back to Cale Makar. There's so much value with Cale Makar. He's coming in at plus 320, offensive defenseman. And then when we're looking at the other side of the puck, the offensive defenseman over there is Quinn Hughes for the Vancouver Canucks. He's plus 500 for that anytime goal. And when we were cashing on him night in and night out, he dropped like in the month of December to plus 360. So if he finds the back of the net tonight, we're not going to get that good of odds tomorrow. But, well, they don't play tomorrow at least, but you know what I mean. So Quinn Hughes, I do think is worth a look. Let's now look at the Nashville Predators taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Yeah, both those teams leading in scoring. They've been absolute fire. And Raven, I'm with you. I would look at that first period over 1.5. We know that both of these teams can bring it in the first period. I wouldn't be shocked if it was a 2-1 first period with the Colorado Avalanche up there at home. Rantanen to score is another nice look as well. Avs and Canucks first period. Avs and Canucks to score in the first period. Yeah, both teams to score, Benji. I do like that one as well. It's a nice way to go with it. McKinnon goes hard tonight, taking 6 shots on goal. That's a great one as well. I love all of the bets you guys are coming up with. Barkov, how can we not put Barkov for the 2+ points? Let us know what you're getting on the value with Barkov for the 2+ points. This should be a nice game here. Columbus Blue Jackets push LA to a shootout. Man, I don't know. The Columbus Blue Jackets are a sneaky team. We're going to get to them next. We're going to go over this first one here with the Preds, then we'll get on to the Columbus Blue Jackets. Forsberg for the Preds to score. Yeah, I like Philip Forsberg. I like Ryan O'Reilly. I think both of those are playmakers. Okay, so let's look. So Philip Forsberg is plus 135 for the anytime goal. Ryan O'Reilly is plus 210. Now, the odds on this game between the Nashville Predators and the Vegas Golden Knights, we got the Preds at plus 125 and Vegas at minus 150. That's too high for me for Vegas, even though they're at home. They're on the second night of a back-to-back. We have a total of 5.5, minus 128 to the over, and minus 104 to the under. The Vegas Golden Knights are off the win over the Sharks on Monday, 4-0. The Sharks didn't put up much resistance in that one, but I still do think there's a nice look on the Predators on the money line at plus 125. I got it earlier today at plus 120, and I still found the value in that. Now, I know Vegas is a stronger team. They're sitting second in the Central. They won the last matchup versus the Preds back in January 4-1, and they won 4 of the last 5 and 3 of the last 4 in Vegas. So all the trends are pointing to Vegas, but second night of a back-to-back, home, and it was like they played on the road versus the Sharks. I just don't love the scheduling spot here. I do like Saros in goal for the Nashville Predators, and I think he can do enough here. They're off that win versus St. Louis Blues 5-2, and I do think they'll come in with some momentum. Now, there's no look ahead for the Preds. They do have Thursday versus the Kings, but they need this win here versus the second best in the Pacific, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, and I do think they have every possibility of getting it. Now, Vegas has been dangerous offensively. They've been scoring these goals, and they've been scoring them in bunches, and defense and goaltending for the Predators hasn't been at its best this season. So the Preds really need to turn that up. Saros needs to have a phenomenal game for this to happen. So we're going to look at Saros's save shots on goal prop here. Hopefully it is up by now, and it's still not up. So Aiden Hill's coming in at 27.5. I don't want to touch Aiden Hill because I'm really looking for the Predators to be able to get the win, and it all does rely on Saros as well as their forwards coming out and making that impact and getting those goals. So when we look at Vegas, they're allowing 30.5 shots on goal per game. We know the Preds bring it. They're averaging 31. Their power play isn't fantastic at 19.4%, and the kill is strong at Vegas. So that 5-on-5 hockey has to be played really hard by the Predators in this one. I'm expecting Saros, his number to be right around that 28, 29.5. And I do think you can hit it to the over. I really do expect Vegas to put a lot of shots on him in this one today. So 28, 29.5. Give me the over as long as it's right around that minus 120 mark or lower in this matchup, because I do think Saros can steal the Preds the win. And that's what I'm counting on here, putting them on the money line. And if it's not Saros, don't take it. Okay, Marchand with the shocker. Yeah, he should come out nice and strong. Vegas 3-way, no OT. I don't hate that. Vegas in regulation isn't a bad bet at all. Yeah, the over 5.5. I do think it goes over 5.5 just because I think we will see the Preds contribute their share. Because when we look at the Vegas Golden Knights, this team has been getting, 3 goals on the regular every night. So we need the Preds to send this one to a 4-3 style game for them to be able to get the win. And Vegas, when they match up against the Predators in the last 10 games, they've got a 3.80 goals on average. So they do score on the Predators. Okay, last game you guys are asking about it. The Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the LA Kings. Let's look at the odds on FanDuel right now. Columbus, a $2 dog on the road. You guys know how much I love a dog at plus 210. I always want to find a reason to bet a team. I can't get behind the Columbus Blue Jackets here. I just don't trust them enough. Now, the LA Kings rolling in here at minus 260 on the money line. You guys know I won't touch that with a 10-foot pole. So we got to find a way to bet this one. The total is 6.5, minus 112 to the under and minus 108 to the over. We saw what Boston and the Kings were able to do in that last game. And now LA has won their last 3. They got the win over the Penguins it was Sunday. And so they went from the Boston Bruins on Saturday, the Penguins on Sunday. That one made us sweat. So Sidney Crosby, and that was a perfect game. If you guys joined me here on Pocket, I took the Kings on the money line. I also took Sidney Crosby for a goal and Kempe for the goal and the under. It finished 2-1 on Sunday. Kempe got the 2 goals for the LA Kings, and Sidney Crosby got the 1 goal to start off that game for the Penguins. So it was a crazy game. It was full of lots of money, and I didn't think the Kings were going to be able to come back, but they actually ended up doing it. So looking at what the Kings have been doing, this team has been hot ever since they've had their interim coach Hiller is his name, step in. They've gone 4-1 since he took over this team, and I really do think they can continue to roll nice and hot here. Their defense has been playing a lot better, and I know that Boston game did go over that total, but I do think in this one they get up on the Columbus Blue Jackets and then completely lock down. I'm going to take the Columbus Blue Jackets team total under 2.5. That's coming in at -118, and I know it's dangerous taking a team total under 2.5. But I really do think this is one that can cash tonight. I don't want to touch the full game total just because the LA Kings, if they hit Elvis hard in this one, we know this team has every ability to explode. Now, the last time these teams met this season, we did see the LA Kings win at 4-3 in OT. So it was a high pressure win there in overtime for the Kings. But it was a comeback win again for them. This team has every ability to come back and get the wins. And before I forget to mention it, Calgary has been able to come back and get the wins on a record-setting level this season. So if Calgary goes down in these games, they're not playing tonight, but in these games, that's another team. Calgary, Montreal, and LA in their ability to come back in games is absolutely phenomenal. So always watch those live puck lines and the money lines that you're getting for those teams. But looking at that game, the Kings fought their way back in December, and Columbus got off to a fast lead. They got 3 goals, so they would have killed that team total within they got them really fast, but the Kings came back in the third period and were able to get that win in overtime with Drew Doughty getting that overtime goal. So looking at Drew Doughty or Kempe here for the Kings, I do think they can have every possibility of getting the points and finding the back of the net as well. More Kempe to light the lamp, but I would expect Drew Doughty to get those points on the board. And I can't trust Columbus here. Johnny Hockey, he's hit or miss on some nights. And this team off a win versus the Sharks, big deal. They played the Sharks. So let's go with the LA Kings to keep rolling hot. I'm going to take Columbus's team total under. We know the Kings have to get back to the defensive play that this team is capable of doing, like we saw in the game versus the Penguins. Their kill is best overall in the league at 86.5, and they're holding opponents 28.2 shots on goal per game. But you guys, I have to jump on over to Game Time Decisions, so make sure you come over and join me there over on SportsGrid. If you don't know where to watch, it's scrolling across the bottom of the screen, www.sportsgrid.com/watch. You can also download the app and watch over there. So all the links to that are above or below this video on the App Store as well as the Google Play Store. So make sure you join me tonight. You guys, all the best in all of your bets. I'll see you in the next couple of minutes over on SportsGrid. Bye, you guys.